brilliance of HuK that he displayed us Protoss fans for such a long time. I'm a really big fan of MorroW as well. You know that Stefan is one of the guys that I truly appreciate in the Stark 2 scene. He's a very honest person, hardworking, very talented, but I actually think that HuK is going to take it this series, man.
I'm really eager to see what unfolds. If HuK has researched MorroW at all, he has to suspect that MorroW has a serious weakness to these sort of immortal timings. Do you think HuK will pull something out like that, especially since we're playing on Ohana here as our first map?
Possible, and we just saw a little bit of an immortal timing against the red, but that was different. That was not how an immortal timing normally works, because it felt like... 1 second, man, take it away.
It felt like something, as we do see just spawning here in the top left-hand corner of Ohana is EG's HuK. And MorroW's going to be down in the bottom right as that red Zerg player. No spawning pool down yet. 14 supply, he's saving money. Looks like it will be that standard 14 pool opening. Actually, no. Look at MorroW. He's being a little bit cheeky. Sends the drone out. He's going to try to hatch first, even faking the pool. And HuK takes the bait, does not block the hatchery, and this is a great little opportunity for MorroW. Kev, what do you think when you find yourself playing against a Zerg player who's managed to go hatch first?
Do you really want to know? This is an explicit broadcast, right? Then I can't express my feelings.
PG-13, Kev.
Then I can't express my feelings. You know what I think, Ben? Then I think, oh,
well, this kind of sucks.
Well, that escalated quickly. I was really excited to play this game, and suddenly I'm not that excited anymore. That's how I feel, man. No, in all seriousness, this is pretty good, of course, for MorroW. I do not think it's the end of the world, because as Protoss you can cut a few corners here and there as well. Why not go Nexus first, then Gate? Because the spawning pool is obviously going to be very late. And that also means that if you want to do some 4-gate +1, that's all going to be, or just 4-gate without a +1, that's all going to be a lot quicker. Sorry I was slightly distracted earlier, by the way, Ben, as I have a small sound issue. No, I only need my mouth to talk, but I do like to hear the game sounds as well.
It's okay, Kev. The NASL sound guy is on the job.
Oh, God.
We do see Nexus Gate going down for HuK, just like you said.
So that means no sound for me for the entire broadcast.
And Forge going to go down right behind it. Literally no telling what HuK is going to do from this position, but he is following, he is reacting to MorroW with about as economical of an opening as he can possibly get.
Yeah, I think this is smart. This is how I would go with it as well, man.
MorroW at the same time is looking like he's either chasing this probe or trying to get a third base down. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. That is, of course, the norm in the matchup. Still no gases for MorroW, which basically tells us that he's going to try to get a third somewhere.
HuK is going to block this one, though, but there are already 2 Zerglings on the map, and 2 other Zerglings are on the way. So HuK is at least going to be a little bit annoying. He's getting his own cannon as well, just in case. The only thing that the final like this always does do, yes, it delays that additional base for Zerg, but what it also delays, Ben, is your cybernetics core.
Yeah, that's right, Kev, and we can even see HuK squeezing in a cannon before that core, so he's really giving up a lot of the advantage that he would have gained from that fast gateway. Interestingly, MorroW going all the way up to 6 Zerglings very early on. Now, that sounds like very insignificant.
What's going on? HuK is making another pylon before his core. He's just going super economic. Now I'm kind of starting to get the feeling, man, that we're going to see some Stargate play eventually, because he's really not keen on getting that quick Warp Gate upgrade, or even just doing anything. But even if he wants to go Stargate, man, it's going to be a pretty late Stargate. By the time this Cybernetic core is done, it's going to be 6:20. I have no idea where HuK's going to take this.
Yeah, I'm a little bit eager to see how it unfolds myself. HuK does have a reputation for being a sort of gateway player, and it's interesting that he's not really focusing on that fast warp gate. Still no 3rd or 4th gases. And it's about time for that, quite frankly.
Yep, we see, well, unless he's just going for the good old 7-8 gate, man. Nobody's ever dirty of an 8 gate. We saw Grubby versus Nurcho in the OCS and Europe last weekend, where Grubby surprised Nurcho. And I actually felt that Nurcho was microing really well in that situation, but at the end that wasn't enough either. So we'll see. Now there we do see those additional guys going down. More drones on the way for MorroW. MorroW is starting to get Overlords in pretty good positions as well. This Overlord, he's probably going to sacrifice. I hope he's going to sacrifice it.
It's going to be about 6 minutes and 50 seconds into the game when MorroW finally ties HuK in the worker count. Next round of drones will put him, or would have put him ahead, but now we see more Zerglings on the way. Man, MorroW has really made, he's turned a lot of larvae into units, Kevin. He's got the 6 lanes out already. He's building 8 more now.
4 more gates on the way, Ben. 6 more gates on the way. So it's going to be a good old 7 gate over here for HuK. I do have sound, by the way, against it. I
7 gate
feel,
+1, by the way.
I feel pretty comfortable. Yes, we did mention it before, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we did, man. What are you gonna say? We're dropping the ball on our viewers.
I don't know, Kev. I don't know, man. MorroW is getting that layer going, though. And one thing that is oft overlooked these days when it comes to defending these kind of gateway timings is burrow. MorroW should have access to that tech in a pretty quick amount of time here. But those gateways are just finishing up for HuK, and he does have a forward pylon. It's in the fourth expansion of MorroW.
It's the only pylon though, Ben, and I actually think that these links, yes, they are definitely going to spot it. This is really bad for HuK right now. He's going to be forced to bring an additional pylon, an additional probe.
Oh, MorroW, you really want to kill that pylon, man.
If he warps in right now, he's going to be able to save it, but he's not going to do it. He doesn't want to reveal his hand yet. But I'm starting to have the feeling that MorroW is so well prepared, but he's up 40 supply right now.
Yeah, he's made a lot of units, Kev. He's on
zealots?
56 drones, which is basically that magic number of workers you want for this kind of two-base aggression.
HuK just walked in 7 zealots though. No, he didn't.
Walked him in.
Then he canceled them? Because I saw all the zealots in the production tab. Instead, he's going to warp in the Twilight console now, man. He warped in a couple of Stalkers. And he's going to warp in a robotics facility. This is kind of similar to what he did against the Red. It's like, he really wants to be aggressive, but then he already has the backup plan ready as well.
Whatever the case may be, MorroW seems to know exactly what's going on. He says, okay, no aggression coming my way. I'm going to get back to droning. Immediately goes up to 61 drones with more in production, double Evo, upgrades coming down, Zergling speed, Roach speed. So he's basically posturing for the later stages of the mid-game right now.
Most importantly, Ben, I think the infestation pit is going down right now. We saw HuK in his games against the Red. He never went up to Colossus. Now against an army that doesn't resist Colossus, Infestors are just the absolute dream unit. Fongos are fantastic against Sentries, Zealots, and even against Immortals, and of course Starks as well. Infested Terrans are pretty damn good against every single unit as well. So
yeah, whenever if an Infested Terran is able to shoot, it is an excellent unit, doing outputting more damage than a non-stemmed Marine. That's a lot of damage, Kev. First Roaches and Lings that MorroW has produced are going to make their way forward here, and he's going to try to put a little bit of pressure on HuK's third base. I don't think MorroW can really force a cancel here.
no, I don't. Not with this little army at least, because HuK is pretty well prepared. Has a couple of sentries with a lot of energy. Now instead, man, we see a HuK going up to 3 bases, and we see him adding the robotics bay, and we're kind of starting to really like this right now. This is a 10 to 11 minute third base for Protoss, so that is pretty good. What is also very good is that with all the pressure he put on MorroW, it is very unlikely that MorroW would have ever just not make a lot of units and go Mutalisk or something. Because normally, when I would open like this, I would be so afraid of Mutas. Some Protoss players, they can still deal with it. If you're MC, you're like, oh, please go Mutas. Well, man, not me. And I think a lot of Protoss players think the same. It is very hard to deal with Mutas if you go up to 3 bases, have late blink, have low Stalker count, and then go Colossus as well. But because HuK at least has the potential to be so aggressive, because he wasn't really aggressive, but he had the potential there. MorroW was never really able to go for Mutalisk, and this all looks pretty legit.
I mean, MorroW was also never really able to get that super, like, godly economy. He is up to 74, 75, 78 runs now. But this is just now, so that work count's just now hitting that point. He did produce a lot of units through the mid-game because he was a little bit unsure of what HuK was throwing at him, and he just wanted to be safe. Now MorroW is certainly not behind. In fact, he's in a great position with Roachling and Fester and his Hive Tech on the west.
And actually, Ben, HuK is tricking MorroW into the fact, I think at least, that he's going Colossus, because this really looks like it. But instead he's researching Warp Prism speed. He has the Warp Prism now as well. He's going to let speed finish. But he's still going to go with a Protoss army that doesn't consist of any Colossus.
That's
and
really
he's
interesting.
Corruptors right now.
Yes, forcing. I'm going to make the little quotes beside my face, though. Forcing Corruptors, but we have to realize Hive's halfway done. And MorroW right now is starting to spine up. He's got 86 drones. He can make 10, 15 spine crawlers if he wants. And that's going to be very difficult to break with an army that doesn't contain Colossi.
Yeah, we see spine crawlers going down left and right now as well, Ben. And as you pointed out, also importantly, that Hive is more than halfway done. The Warp Prism with speed right now. Okay, there is the first Colossus after all. Well, that surprises me.
Yeah, maybe HuK just sort of realizing that he's going to need it. Surely he's got an observer somewhere in position.
I kind of wonder if this was worth it, the Warp Prism speed, and perhaps he's going to try to snipe the, the Greatest Fire or just the Spire itself, but that's going to be very tough.
Yeah, the Spire's kind of tucked away in the back there. I think only four Zealots would be able to hit it at a time.
Yeah, very good placement there by MorroW.
There's
a very big warp in though. Maybe he's going for the hive instead.
If nothing else, he's definitely going to get some worker kills. At the same time, HuK is pushing forward with his main army, so MorroW's got to be very careful with how he splits his units here. Greater Spire has not even started yet, Kev, so at least in part, you know, MorroW's got a lot of supply tied up in these Corruptors. There's 7 Corruptors out right now.
I feel that HuK wasted so much potential DPS, man, with his little army chasing 2 roaches over here. MorroW's gonna send a few units right now, but MorroW's afraid to send too many units because he wants to defend with the spine crawlers.
And rightfully so, Kevin. This is a very scary Protoss army if you don't have a Zerg army in position to deal with it. Hive taking a lot of damage. Zealot's really trying to chop it down, but it does look like MorroW might just...
No, it's gonna fall, man. It's gonna fall!
Oh my gosh, one last punch, and it does go down. Even if it hadn't fallen, HuK was there with another round of Orphans. So that's a painful loss. The Hive going down means that MorroW can't reestablish that tech, can't get his +3 upgrades. Fortunately, Greater Spire has already begun, so as long as he can keep it from dying, he is going to have access to that Broodlord tech.
Kind of a weird response there by MorroW, Ben, because I thought that HuK would have even taken that out much quicker. But maybe because HuK was not really focusing the Hive immediately, MorroW felt that I'll be okay if I just send a couple of roaches. Well, the opposite was true, Ben. He was not okay. HuK takes out that Hive, in which it was a very weird scenario because we're watching 2 of the best foreign players play against each other, while a couple of Zealots just slice their way through an Hive.
You're right. It was a bit of a blunder on MorroW's part, but I still like how carefully he played that. If he pulled his whole army, he can guarantee that HuK would have pushed right through that 4th base and probably would have crushed it.
That's of course a good point. 7 cannons being warped in right now. HuK still being active with this Warp Prism, with the speed upgrade. 4 Zealots are still in it as well. Those Zealots, man, they saw the Hive die, so they have a lot of momentum going into it.
That production tab, Kev, 11 Broodlords about to finish up. That is going to make the army of MorroW absolutely ferocious. Here comes this Zealot warping in back of MorroW's 3rd base.
Like your kitty?
Like my kitty, man. Kitty is a ferocious, she thinks she's ferocious.
See a lot of lings and roaches and a couple of infestors making their way across the map, man, but here comes the real problem for HuK. Those Broodlords are on the way. Let's take a look at HuK's army composition. We have 19 Stalkers, 2 Archons, 6 High Templars. If the Fungos are good, Ben, if MorroW controls his army properly...
Yeah, this looks like a very difficult army for HuK to deal with.
Whoa, feedback! So nice.
I think he just needs a lot more time, Kev. He does have his mothership on the way, so that's sort of the answer, but it's 160-second build time. It's going to be a while before that mothership comes into play.
He has to be careful with those infestors because there are quite some High Templars in the mix. Feedbacks could potentially go down. Storm landing on top of the Zerg army.
Doing a decent amount of damage. Roche is absorbing most of it. The Broodlords are doing a great job of just laying siege to this cannon line, but all the roaches and lings are gone, as well as most of the infestors. What in the world happened to the infestors?
Feedbacks happened, man. That's what I was afraid for. But MorroW's doing this pretty well. He still has a few Broodlords alive. There comes the final blink from HuK.
It's a great blink from HuK, and he's going to get underneath these last Broodlords, and all of a sudden MorroW's in a little bit of trouble. His economy is not great. We can see him reloading with Zerglings and roaches, and that is not going to cut it against this kind of Colossus numbers. That fight just wasn't quite controlled properly.
No, MorroW was too careless with his investing, man, and it's very, very hard for a Zerg, so don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be overly critical. It is very hard to have that perfect army control. Certainly when there are cannons in the mix as well, you just can't really run in and you have to use hold position. You want to put pressure on, but you also don't want to overcommit, so it's a very tough position for a Zerg player to be in. But at the end of the day, MorroW just didn't do it perfectly because he lost all of his infestors before real infested damage was
Look
spawned.
at HuK. HuK is doing it perfectly, blinking up into the main base with a lot of Stalkers. He's got Immortals and Colossi making their way over to the 4th base. They're a little bit exposed. These Stalkers should be able to get away, unless they get caught by a big fungal. No, there's no energy.
One got shot.
Corruptor's going to knock out this Warp Prism. That'll finally spell an end to that harass at least. Yeah, but in the midst of this, that 4th base has been under siege, Kevin. The spine crawlers have all been taken out.
Playing like a man on fire, man.
This is some great StarCraft from HuK, but here come the Zerglings and Lings underneath the Colossi. Can actually be very difficult to deal with. This could be a critical mistake.
Colossus.
All the Immortals are going to die. Colossi are on move command, and every single Colossus falls. What in the world did we just witness?
We saw a bunch of Lings killing 4 Colossus, man. 4.
Oh my goodness.
But I still think that HuK is in quite reasonable shape as the transition to carriers is about to get ready. He has a mothership at home. He could have probably recalled that army, by the way. Let's take a look. Where is that mama ship, man? Do you know where
She's
the mama
in the
ship
fourth base, Kev, and she has 92 energy,
Okay,
so just shy of having the energy to recall, painfully shy. Stalkers are in a very awkward position, Kevin. Zergling Infestor is so mobile that I feel like HuK could get this little force caught. But actually, it looks like MorroW has no intentions of going back.
MorroW only has 7 Broodlords. It's just not really scary enough. He's going to use 2 Broodlords to defend.
That seems a little risky as well, but at the same time, big attack coming into the fourth base. Mothership is there cloaking everything. Vortex goes down, and oh, the Broodlords, a couple of them do get sucked in. There is a single carrier out.
Oh, High Templars then?
They are going to storm the Broods. The Lings actually mostly getting away there. Can't forget that there are a couple of Broodlords inside that Vortex, and they do pop out. And nothing there to detect right now. The Broodlords are just sitting ducks. The Lings apparently have been chiseled away. I don't know what happened to the Zerglings. HuK right now up in supply by about 20.
And he has quite some money as well. He had way more money, just wiping quite a few units. Still making carriers and Colossus as well. And this just looks very good for HuK. Despite losing so much, he's been harassing all the time. He took out that greatest fireman, he took out this hatchery, took out the fourth base, took out the main several times. HuK, despite losing a lot of units carelessly from time to time, is also playing a fantastic game.
Yeah, warping in more in the back of the third base even, just relentless harass here from HuK. Double speed prism harass, which is kind of the way the metagame's going right now for super late game.
He started in Grubby events to nurture as well in Cloud Kingdom, huh?
It's very powerful, and we have to realize that late game Zerg army is awfully immobile, and the fast units are not the best units for dealing with zealots, as we can see here.
So true. Again, just 1 or 2 spine crawlers is not going to cut it either. You're going to need a lot of them. MorroW down to 102 supply. That carrier count is climbing as well, Ben. And MorroW just doesn't have the economy to deal with carriers.
And he really doesn't. In spite of, he lost hatcheries, but he also lost a lot of drones, Kev. If we look at the drones killed, 42 drones have died, leaving MorroW with only 58. He's also lost every one of those spine crawlers that he invested in. Man, that was like 20 spines. Most of them are off the map. 113 supply remains for MorroW. HuK's still sitting comfortably at about 150, and he is investing in almost purely.
Have you seen the carrier in How to Swarm yet, man? It has like these little blocks, sort of, like kind of like a command center has. You know, that you can see how many SCVs you loaded in. You know what I mean? And then for the interceptors, you can see how many carriers you have on your, or how many intercepts you have in your carrier.
It's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, I like it. Makes the carrier look more powerful.
But when you click on the carriers, like, doesn't it already show the interceptor number? Like,
yeah, of course, here. But like normally, let's say you have the stalker selected.
Yeah.
You can't really see how many interceptors this carrier have. And if you would see like the bar over here, and you see like 5 out of 8 interceptors.
Not
6
bad.
out of 8.
Small buff.
Yeah.
Ninja buff.
Small buff. Hidden buff.
Ninja buff. MorroW trying to sort of get back to a stable position, building more spines, reestablishing his tech. But Kevin, he just doesn't really have an answer to carriers right now. Does he even have a Spire? No, the Spire was killed. So he can't produce Corruptors. The only thing that MorroW can make right now that shoots up is Spore Crawlers. And I don't think that's going to cut it.
Not very good against carrier Colossus. HuK is playing this very safe right now. Still has 7 High Templars as well. Really crazy game. It started off slow, man. But then HuK just with a simple Warp Prism arrest, and perhaps that Speed Prism before Colossus was worth it after all.
Yeah, I would say so, man. These prisms have been just invaluable, doing immense amounts of damage.
Oh, careful! But
he still baits the army, Kevin. And with MorroW chasing his prism around, HuK is able to get into a great position up in the natural. A couple of Archons took a wrong turn, man, but even they're going to be okay.
Storm's going down on all those roaches now. Storm is not great against roaches, but it does help out a lot. As the carriers and the mothership is here as well. MorroW just doesn't have an answer to this super strong army from HuK. Despite not being 200 supply, this is a very powerful army with very good upgrades as well.
Certainly when you consider that Zerg is down in supply, MorroW taps out GG, and HuK continues to play really good StarCraft. And man, I like what I saw from HuK in that game. That was not the HuK that we're used to seeing. That was not 5 gates with a ton of sentries pushing across the map at an awkward time. That
mean,
was solid, safe macro play.
I mean, the scary thing is, any pro player out there who's going to play against HuK right now is worried. In the back of his mind, he's thinking, okay, we all know HuK. We know that HuK loves to be gateway heavy aggressive. If HuK opens up with that many gateways, it is almost impossible not to make at least a certain amount of units in case he really does it. But what we've seen lately from HuK is that HuK still makes the gates, but doesn't overcommit with the units anymore. And if he sees an opening, if he thinks he can get away with it,
he goes for it.
He goes for it. But if not, he has a steady probe count. He just goes back, drops the Twilight, drops the Robo, goes on to get 3 bases.
Really cool play out of HuK. Certainly worth some more examination. Guys, game number 1 brought to you by Stamps.com. Please go to nasl.tv/p/stamps. That P stands for promotion, where you can get your promotional deals on some stamps. So if you're sending postage, if you're writing a letter to your little sweetheart on the other side of the country. Does anybody do that anymore?
Of course, Ben. The romantic people still do that. I send a letter each week with perfume, a rose leaf.
I think this is the best use of this is for the small business owners out there that have to send out the bills and the invoices and all that stuff. So if you're like
it's the best
esports enterprise, Jason Tugman with your stickers, you need to go over here and order you some NASL stamps.
Ben, we live in different times. Nowadays we have things that we call e-lovers, guys who write girls over the internet all day. But girls, they get lovely messages over the internet all day long. So if you want to be different, Ben, you still send a good old letter. That's how you do it.
Every time there's like a birthday or a holiday or a special occasion, I like to get a card and like I'll fill it out, but I have such terrible handwriting that I'm embarrassed to give it to the person. So I would almost like rather type it
and then still send it by mail.
Print it on the card.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what nice people do. Anyway, guys, we're gonna take a small commercial break. We'll be right back with game number 2 between MorroW and HuK. So don't go anywhere.